Hey, what is good, Run It Back Nation? It is your boy DJ Eastwood, Run It Back Philly. No frauds, no fanboys, no intros. Do you know who the frauds are? Do you know who the frauds are? Nick Nurse and the Toronto Raptors fans all combined together. Hey, I got a song for you guys. Listen, I am a DJ, okay? I got a song for you guys. Go listen to Ja Rule featuring Mary J. Blige, I Cry. Okay, that's the theme song for the Toronto Raptors fans and Nick Nurse. I cry, you cry, we all cry together. When I cry, you cry, we all cry together. Sixers up 2-0 on the Toronto Raptors. What's up to everybody in the chat? 263 people already in here to troll Toronto Raptors fans. We're gonna have Greg Melly at some point. I don't know where he is. I think he should be here. Greg Melly's joining me because he's been dealing with Toronto Raptors fans also, and we're here to celebrate what we've been saying the entire week. All right, we're gonna get into a lot of things. Don't forget to join the Discord. Link is in the description. If you would like to call the show, we're going to take live calls from the Discord from you, Philadelphia 76ers fans, or hey, any Toronto Raptors fans that are left that would like to step up and voice your opinion, maybe your displeasure with the way the referees aren't helping you out in the series, because that's really what it is. You don't have a shot at stopping Joel Embiid. Nick Nurse knows that. He's out here basically begging the referees to help him out in the series. He said, if we can't match the physicality, we don't stand a chance. We know that. We know that, Nick Nurse. You don't stand a chance. That's the correct answer. You don't stand a chance. And we saw it once again. Greg Melly will be on here around 10:30. So let's get into it, because that's where I'm going to start. Well, I'm going to start with this, actually. Everybody hit the like button, but I'm going to start with this. All right? The owners of the Toronto Raptors have to sell the team. They have to sell the team. This should be a steadfast rule at this point in Danny Green's career. You have to sell your franchise if somebody on your team gets dunked on by Danny Green. If somebody on your team in 2022 gets yammed on by Danny freaking Green, you have to sell the franchise. That's a new rule. Sell it back to the United States. No more Canadian teams. Then we can get rid of all the BS that's going to keep Matisse Thybulle out of the games in Toronto. Sell the team. You got dunked on by Danny Green. It's over. Series over. Sixers 2-0. Sixers win the series 2-0. What in the world got into Danny Green on a fast break? I've seen this guy miss so many fast break layups this season. Looks like he can't even get off the ground a millimeter. What in the world gets into him on a fast break, basically when the game's already over, that says, you know what, I'm going to hammer this down? A team that I won a championship with, a team that just gave me my 2019 championship ring like 3 weeks ago. I'm going to hammer this down. And then, even a couple possessions later, the game is put away. Van Vliet tries to drive in to get some garbage points, and Danny Green blocks his layup. Game's over. Yo, I did not think I'd be sitting up here celebrating Danny Green, but to dunk on the Toronto Raptors and then to block a shot literally that didn't matter is just a slap in the face to Toronto, and I loved every second of it. Toronto, here's what you did wrong. Here's what you did wrong in the grand scheme of things. You poked the bear. You poked the bear. That is Joel Embiid. You threw absolutely everything at Joel Embiid in game one. You held him to 19 points. Everybody else stepped up around him. Maxey, 38. Harden, 21 or whatever he had. Tobias had 26. Everybody stepped up around him. You held him to 19 in game one. Then you cried and cried and cried and cried about free throw. And he said, you know what? I'm going to come out here in game two and be even more physical. And be even more physical than I was in game one. And right off the jump, the dude is just going at people, taking on double teams, triple teams, bodies falling all over the place. We almost get in a fight in the first 3 minutes of the game. Couple plays later, Embiid drives to the rim. Siakam just dives at his face and takes him out in midair, a full-on football tackle. They deem it not a flagrant because his hands were up. So if you want to tackle somebody, just put your hands straight up. You can then legally tackle that player as long as your hands are straight up. So the game was very physical right off the jump, but you can't match Joel Embiid. You're not Nick Nurse. You're not even playing a center. Your tallest. How do you expect to slow him down at all? That's what I really want to know. Double team, triple team, it doesn't matter. This guy makes 6'9" Pascal Siakam look like an everyday Starbucks worker walking down the street on his way to work on a Monday morning. I mean, he's just taking contact from everybody. Nobody can do anything with him. You don't have anybody big enough to handle Joel Embiid. And that's the answer. The funny part is, Nick Nurse begs officials for 2 days to help him out. Please, we don't stand a chance if you guys don't start calling offensive fouls against Joel Embiid. We don't stand a chance. So we come out this game, the referees say, you know what, Nick, I'm just going to watch the game and call what I think a foul is a foul. We come out this game, Joel Embiid has 10 free throws in the first quarter, 11 free throws in the first quarter. Wow. Talk about backfiring, Nick Nurse. You begged for the officials to help you. And in the first quarter of game 2, Joel Embiid has 11 free throws. And of course, everybody on Twitter, I muted a couple people. Some people are my friends. But I muted a couple people that aren't Sixers fans, that aren't watching the game, that are just box score watching. Oh, the Sixers free throws. It's a free throw fest. It's a free throw fest. It's a free throw fest because you just can't stop Joel Embiid. I have an experiment for you, actually, Toronto Raptors fans and anybody that wants to complain about how many free throws we shoot in a game. I have an experiment. Try to win the game against the Sixers without fouling Joel Embiid. Because we seem to be skipping over the whole part where you have to foul somebody to put them on the free throw line, right? I mean, the narrative on the internet and probably in the mainstream media is that the officials are just clocking in, walking onto the court and saying, okay, Joel, here's your free throws. Shoot 20 of them, and then we're going to play the game. We're skipping over the whole fact that you have to foul somebody to put them on the free throw line. So I have an experiment for you. Try to beat the Sixers without fouling Joel Embiid. Because a lot of them aren't called. Because they're not going to call a foul every possession. So go an entire game without fouling Joel Embiid. How many points would he have? Probably Wilt Chamberlain. He'd probably score 100 points. He would probably score 100 points in an NBA game against the Toronto Raptors if they didn't foul him. So if you don't want him to go to the free throw line, try to play the game without fouling him. See what happens. I just don't understand it. The narrative is that the referees are just handing him free throws. Or is he getting fouled? Which makes more sense? Actually, I tweeted this too. Which makes more sense? Here, I'm going to give you two options. Everybody in the chat, answer. Raptors fans, if you're still here, which you're probably not, it's raining here in Hershey, PA area. I don't know about down in Philly. If it's raining in Toronto, it might be raining. You're probably under your covers, hiding, crying. So you're probably not in here. But if you are, I got two. Which makes more sense, okay? Number one, the NBA suddenly loves the Philadelphia 76ers, who they hated because of the tanking. The NBA suddenly loves the 76ers, suddenly wants the 76ers to walk to the NBA Finals and a championship. So they have told all of the officials to go out there and give Joel Embiid 20 free throws a game. A team that the NBA clearly disliked in the tanking era. They have now done a 180 and they love the Sixers. They want the Sixers to win a championship, so they're handing us free throws. Or the Philadelphia 76ers have two players who are probably the hardest to guard without fouling in the entire NBA, and they're getting fouled and going to the free throw line. Which one makes more sense? Now, come on. What in the world would make the NBA say, I want the Sixers to win a championship? Let's go give Joel Embiid a bunch of fouls. I mean, just look at the game. He's so much bigger and stronger than everybody on the floor. If you are slightly out of position, he's going to go through you. I shouldn't have to explain this to Nick Nurse either. You have to be in position in front of him for it to be a charge. If you're slightly out of position, he can plow you over. It's a block every time. That's the rule. I'm sorry, I don't make the rules. There's my rant about the free throws. Rasan G, my guy, with the super chat. Call him Joel and better than every player on the Raptors, and they have no answer. Also, Danny Green stepped up, so I see Harden take a back seat. Good game. Thanks, Rasan. Greg Melly in the building. What's up, Greg? I got my free throw merchant rant out. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Try to play the game without fouling him and see what happens, because I guarantee you it's not going to go any better. What do you think?
Have you ever seen a team get blown out 2 games in a row and blame the refs both times?
That's another thing. Like, you could blame the refs if it was a 6-point game, right? And if you said, hey, if he didn't get 4 or 5 of these free throws, this, or that, like, you're getting blown out. How are these refs going to help you? Unless they reverse every single call, basically.
Yeah. All those fouls on Embiid are the reason why Maxey's hitting all those step-back threes, and Tobias Harris is playing the best basketball of his Philadelphia 76ers career. I love it. Are there Raptors fans in the chat today?
I haven't seen any. They disappeared a while ago.
Yeah, lost a couple subs there.
No, they unsubbed right after the show was over. Yeah, they just subscribed to join the chat, and then they unsubscribed real quick because they don't want to see. But like what I was saying all week is that, and I still don't expect this series to be like a 4-0 sweep. I still think there's going to be 1 or 2 in Toronto that ends up being pretty ugly. But in the back of my mind, even though I was nervous about it because what we looked like the end of the season, I was saying we have 2 superstar players, arguably 3 superstar players right now. And the Toronto Raptors just have a couple of high-level role players. And that's really all there is to it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say the series is over because we've seen the Sixers mess up big series leads like this. I mean, our whole lifetime. But, like, the signs are so daunting. I mean, Embiid is just so much more dominant than everyone on that team that we control the pace, and our pace is to be more physical than them. And then Nick Nurse, like a moron, which is surprising because he usually is impeccable with his moves, his chess moves. But, I mean, he came out, complained about the refs, and said that he wanted the Raptors to be more physical. Dude, that's like trying to beat the Warriors in a 3-point shooting contest. You're going to lose that 10 times out of 10. The Raptors are so outmatched. It's absurd. I mean, we own the paint right now. We own rebounds. Fast pace, fast break offense. We've been great this series, which is a huge Achilles heel for us. We've mentioned that in our pre-series streams, but it's just everything that seemed like a weakness, the Sixers cured and turned into a strength. And Paul Reed, his minutes have been phenomenal. We've won the minutes with Paul Reed on the court and Embiid off. And if that stays the same, dude, the Sixers team is arguably the best team in the Eastern Conference because that's, I mean, as it's always been, our biggest weakness is the backup 5. And now we finally have a backup 5 who can play against small ball lineups. And we just come out so energetic and we just dominate, dude. The first quarter, we came down early and Embiid just willed his way for the Sixers to win that quarter. And that's literally the whole momentum switched after that. And dude, it's crazy how good this Sixers team is right now. Tyrese Maxey is playing the best basketball of his career. I know it's 2 games, but I mean, he looks really, really good. He had 8 rebounds tonight. Everyone's rebounding. And Harden had a couple rebounds. Tobias Harris is out there grabbing offensive boards. I've never seen that. Toby's been playing great, dude. Danny Green had a block. He dunked it. The whole team's energized. They want to win. They're playing hard from the beginning to end. Even Doc Rivers coached a little bit better tonight. So, it's great to see. I want to sweep this Raptors fan base in 4 just to get it over with. Put the toxicity in the offseason. Let them enjoy the lottery or the.
I mean, that should be our goal right now. Like, I mean, obviously that's anybody's goal, really, win 4 games in a row. But now we should be even more motivated to put it away as quick as we can. Just to, we got that 1 week of rest. Everybody looks insanely rejuvenated just off of 1 week of rest. And yeah, it'd be nice to end it in 4 and get some more rest and get ready for round 2. What specifically do you think the keys to this game were, if you had to pick one?
I mean, they got into foul trouble early. Gary Trent went down too. Fred VanVleet couldn't make a beach ball into an ocean in the second half. Our defense was really good for the most part. I mean, Embiid dominated as he always does. Defensively, he's been so good this series. Tyrese Maxey is playing like an all-star point guard, shooting guard that we have seen glimpses of, but now we've seen back-to-back playoff games of. Like, that's seriously really good. And at the same time, like, I mean, Harden is not what we need him to be probably to win a championship right now, but like he's good enough. And as long as he can be good enough, the Sixers are going to be good, especially when Tobias Harris is just being as efficient as he's been on not a lot of shots, which is huge. Like we don't need Tobias to shoot the ball 16 times, but tonight he was like 10 shots or something, and he was good, man. He was just really, really good. His quick decision making, his offensive rebounding is just the whole team is energized, man. Even Danny Green, Paul Reed. It's probably maybe that's what Paul Reed brings to a team, dude. Paul Reed really comes in and just plays hard as hell, and everyone else is like, I respect that. I need to reciprocate that energy. And the Sixers just came out and they wanted to win way more than the Raptors did. And don't get me wrong, like talent wise, it's not even close. It's not a good series when you look at on paper rosters. This should be a 4-0 sweep.
Yeah, it should. I mean, a couple of those games, like I said, like you had Precious Achua heat checking in the third quarter from 30 feet, like Kevin Durant. Like it wasn't even real. Like everybody should have known that was not going to continue. You weren't going to get 30 points from Precious Achua in the playoffs. Those are not those kind of players, at least yet in their career. They could develop into something like that, and they've all individually shown flashes of potentially being that good, as they go forward. But right now, like you just weren't going to get that from those guys. Pascal Siakam is really, I'm really surprised actually at how well we've defended him and how just not great he's looked in these two games. And I got to shout out to Tobias Harris for not just his offensive efficiency in this series. His defense on Siakam is like, it's like I just don't understand. It's like night and day from what he looked like in the regular season. He's shown defensive improvements each season. I feel like in Philly, like mild improvements, but I mean he was like a lockdown defender on Siakam, a lot of possessions and just swiping the ball off out of his hands. And I got to give Tobias Harris credit offensively and defensively. And his new name is Trade Value Toby, man, because every single night this guy is he's raising his trade value. I've said for a long time, you absolutely cannot trade Tobias Harris. Nobody's paying that money for that output, that performance level. But I think if he keeps contributing 20 points per game in the playoffs, he had 10 rebounds in this game, which tells me his effort is there. There's a lot of games where he finishes with 2 or 3 rebounds, which tells me he wasn't crashing the boards the whole game and just kind of standing around. So his effort has been great. The way he's modified his game to being that catch and shoot wing player with Harden running the show, I can't give Tobias Harris enough credit, man.
Yeah,
he was 3 for 3 in this game from 3, and he was 4 for 5, I think, in the last game. So
that's exactly what I was going to say. Just the amount of open shots that we have against this Raptors defense, because we're just so much better than them and so much more physical. And they have to double team Embiid, and Embiid will either still score on them or just pass to a wide open player. I mean, the ball movement looks really good. We're not really seeing a lot of isolation Harden plays outside of the one where Joel died and had to take the play off because he got destroyed on the other end. You're not really seeing selfish basketball right now, which is ideal to winning. That's why the Warriors were so good, man. They had so many good players, but none of them were isolation heavy guys, and they all had a lot of good ball movement, and they just moved the ball around. And I'm not comparing the Sixers team to the Warriors, but I'm comparing winning. At the end of the day, winning is just going to be a team effort. You can only rely on one player so much. Look at the Nuggets. The Nuggets are going to struggle in this series because Jokic is the only good player on that team right now. And it's really, really tough to do something by yourself. And just Harden, he doesn't even have to make his shots. But what is so big for this team is he still has so much gravity. When he's going to the lane, just because of who he is, he's drawing double teams on every single play, and he kicks out to open shooters. And when Niang is going to be out there, I trust Niang every time he puts up a shot. Whether it's a make or miss, I trust Niang. Danny Green has been shooting the ball well lately, and if Tobias Harris and Tyrese Maxey, mainly Tobias Harris, can continue to shoot the ball that he has in this series because he's wide the hell open, I mean, there's no reason the Sixers lose a game. I mean, I would imagine the Sixers probably lose one in Toronto because the environment's going to be different and you're going to have a hard fan base there and stuff. But like I said at the end of our stream, the Sixers in 5. I'm going to convince myself into talking Sixers in 5 just because I think the way the Sixers are playing right now, I know it's early, I know it's only 2 games, but they just look like they are very focused. Like they're not here to make like headlines. They're not here to like get flashy and get up on ESPN. They're not talking shit. That's all Toronto. If you really look at the series, Toronto is talking so much smack. All they're doing is talking because they are getting absolutely manhandled every single night. The free throw differential is so huge because of the play of basketball. Like Toronto is just taking contested mid-range 3-pointers and the Sixers are just taking it right down their throat. I mean, it's just the level of physicality the Sixers are playing with right now. It's some of the best basketball they've played all season. Honestly, it really might be the best 2-game stretch of basketball the Sixers have played in the last 2 years, maybe. Like this is what we got Harden for: the gravity, the open shooters, the open shots, and even Harden, bro, he's been playing defense. Like he had a good defensive night tonight. Like if we can get him to like buy in on the defensive end, the Sixers are they're scary. They're scary.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. Like James only had 9 shot attempts in his game, and it wasn't one of those games where I felt like I was yelling at him to shoot the ball. He was just doing everything he needed to do.
Right.
When other guys he's just that kind of player on this team. There was always this like, oh, Harden's not going to fit because look how he played in Houston. Like he's always been a high IQ guy. He's going to play like that, like he did in Houston when his number 2 is Eric Gordon. You know what I mean? When his number 2 is PJ Tucker, he's going to play like that. But he has a number 1, a number 2, a number 3. He's just such a high basketball IQ guy, such a good facilitator. And he can just sit back and draw attention from the defense, and he doesn't have to force up bad shots. You bring the double team, he's finding the open man 100 times out of 100. And it's just about the Sixers knocking him down. And then, yeah, the defensive end was blowing my mind. I couldn't believe what I was watching. And, he only got credited for 1 block, I think. He got credited for 2 blocks actually, which is funny. But there was another one that was really clean that Niang got called for a foul and his arms were straight up. But I'm not gonna whatever. Maybe he was moving, maybe whatever. But Harden had another clean block from behind on that play, and I was like, oh my, like, and not just the block, like the way he's moving on defense and staying in front of guys and sticking guys like James Harden is playing defense and playing defense well. And really the dude's so talented that anything that was ever slandered about him was just his general lack of effort on the floor in certain situations, in certain years, on certain teams or whatever. He's that kind of guy. When you can get him to buy in and believe that he's on a good team that has a potential to win something, this is the effort you're going to get from him. Now you have James Harden out here literally trying on defense. Crazy to me. And Tyrese Maxey stepping up like he did last game. Obviously didn't almost drop 40, but he had 0 in the first quarter, and in the third quarter when they made the run that they made, which had me a little nervous. The Tyrese Maxey came up big in that quarter, I believe, and then they made another run in the fourth and had it down to like 11 when we were up by 24 to start the fourth. They went on a 20-2 run. I'm sitting here screaming. We got in that little mode where it's James Harden ISO ball because we're not really running anything, because we're not really trying anything, because I feel like we get in a mindset of like, let's run the clock out, but there's 8 minutes left in the game. Like you can't do that. And then it gets down to 11 on a 20-2 run, and Maxey hits a huge 3 on a fast break. And then Maxey hits a step back like Chuck. That was ridiculous, and saves the run. So, I mean, Tyrese Maxey's just been enormous. He had a couple of plays in a row in that situation where they made that run, and everybody's just been stepping up for 2 games, man.
Dude, there's not enough time for me to talk about the god of Tyrese Maxey. I mean, dude, he's just every single shot he puts up is contested, no matter where it is on the court, and it goes in. It just goes in. Like, he's just so good. You know how many times the past 2 days I've watched the draft video of him getting drafted and crying? And, like, I'm just, like, emotional because I can't believe it. The Sixers, for the first time in their franchise history, second time in their franchise history, they actually drafted a guard who's actually good at basketball. Dude, he's just, like, he's so good. He's progressed so much. He is so vitally important to this team. We are not in the situation this year. right now without him. No matter we got Harden because of how good Embiid's been, but also because of Maxey. Like Tyrese Maxey, man, like there's not enough to say about him. Offer him the max contract as soon as he's available for it. I want him to be in the city of Philadelphia until the day that I die because he is going to be a legend. The way he plays basketball, man, is just so exciting. Like he's just smiling, he's having fun. He's like a kid. He's literally a little kid playing pickup basketball, just having fun. Like I don't know how anyone could ever dislike him. I don't think I've ever seen anyone who trolls or who hates Maxey, which is crazy because Twitter's full of that. But it's
Twitter's
just,
full of
dude,
it.
he's Twitter's been really rough for me the past couple of days. But dude, he's just so good. Like he's so important and such an interesting thing about the Harden deal is like, yeah, like Harden helps Embiid be a lot more dominant and takes plays off. Yeah. But James Harden makes Tyrese Maxey perfect. Like Tyrese is in the perfect situation now because he's not taking so much energy being our main primary facilitator every play up and down the court because that's not his job. That's not what he's good at. He's good at going out and getting buckets, like just complete buckets. And that's what Harden allows him to do. Harden, my favorite play is like that 7 seconds of Harden like dribbling between his legs back and forth the same time. The weird shit that he does. Doing a step back and then passing it to Maxey catching it and then flying to the basket in under 2.1 seconds. Like he's just there. Like he's at the basket already. Like he's the only guy on our team that does that. And that like shake and bake between those two, it's such a perfect play. Like it lulls the defense to sleep and then Tyrese just takes advantage of it, dude. Like it's so good. Like Tyrese Maxey's so good, dude.
Yeah, and he got fouled hard on a possession, and he's laying on the floor, and the crowd is screaming basically at whatever happened. You know what I mean? And he's laying there for a little while, and we feel like maybe he hurt his back or something like that. And right after that is when he went on that run where he had 2 drives to the basket in a row, finished in traffic, and then he hits a ridiculous step back 3. So it was almost like this is the nicest kid I've ever seen. Him and Matisse Thybulle, I feel like, are just the nicest, smiley, just fun having jokesters. Like they don't seem like the kind of guys that have this like fiery mindset. But Tyrese Maxey on the court just has it, and that's why I don't think it's not something you can teach. You know, we got rid of a player who we tried to teach it to for 5 years. He doesn't have the killer instinct, the fire inside of him to want to be great. This kid just has it inside of him. He wants to be great, and at such a young age. But he's laying on the floor. I think it pissed him off. I think he said, "Yeah, you want to do that to me? Watch what I'm about to do." And he scored 7 points in about 30 seconds. Right after that, I mean, the kid has just killer instinct. He has a ridiculous level of confidence to be doing what he's doing in the NBA playoffs. But I can't say enough about Maxey either.
Going back to the draft video, I remember watching it and they said that they're like, Tyrese Maxey is a 20-something% 3-point shooter on the season, but against like top tier competition, he shot 40% from 3 against the top elite college basketball teams. So he's like in big games, he was a 40% 3-point shooter. And I'm like, dude, that is exactly what he has become. Like he has translated the fact that he's just a big game player. Like that's just who he is. Like, the guys like Jamal Murray and Donovan Mitchell at times, like they just step it up. Like just for some reason, when the limelight's on them, they just play better basketball. Like they're best in the playoffs. Tyrese Maxey is genuinely that guy. Like he is just that guy who is just like it becomes an absolute animal in games that are important. Even last year in Game 6 when we finally played him, like if we remember, Maxey is one of the reasons that we even got to a Game 7.
Yep.
And now that Doc has finally forced his hand to play the guy, like, dude, he has become. It's so unfortunate that he's not going to win Most Improved Player because he's obviously the most improved player this year.
I mean, I think next year he might be an all-star, and then maybe he'll get Most Improved Player then as kind of like one of those makeup things for not getting it this year. Somebody made a point about that weeks ago about the MVP voting. Like this, it seems like I got a sound in my ear. What's going on here? My bad. Somebody made a point about that a couple weeks ago, how the NBA seems to give an MVP, and then the guy that got robbed, they give it to him the next year, even if his numbers weren't the same. Maybe Maxey gets Most Improved Player next year. I would probably bet on him being an All-Star next season. Like the whole first half of this season, with the weird roster and then the turnaround and Tobias Harris for most of the season thinking he was number 2 and kind of taking a lot of his shots away. I think Tobias has fallen into the role that he knows he is on this team. I think Maxey is clearly, I mean, at this point, he's a number 2 scorer. Like, I don't know what, I don't, I see Harden as a threat to score and a facilitator, but when you need a bucket, it's either Joel Embiid or Tyrese Maxey. Like, and you're right about the big shots, man. This kid gives me actually like young Damian Lillard vibes. Like, it seems like, a wide open shot in the second quarter, maybe no, but like a big time step back fade away when the Raptors are on a 20-2 run. It's almost like, oh my God, that's going in. And it just splashes. And it's like, yeah, it's like the biggest shots and the biggest moments. He just has it. And we haven't had a player like that on this team for such a long time. I mean, such a long time. Joel Embiid, obviously, at the center position, but a guard that can take the ball and make big-time shots in the biggest moments of the game. Allen Iverson was the last one. Like 2005 was the end of his Sixers career, I'm pretty sure, maybe 2006. Yeah, it's incredible to have Tyrese Maxey, and we're going to have him for a long, 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 long time, man. He better just get whatever the highest max contract you can give a player at the end of his rookie deal. Is that next year, the extension, or maybe the year after? He deserves a lot of money.
Yeah. I think a thing that you said that's really important is the fact that what makes the Sixers team so good right now is every single player has bought into their role. I have never seen that in my life as a Sixers team. You never see guys buying into their role because that's championship level qualities of every player knowing their exact role. I mean, I remember pre-deadline we're talking about that and how that's an issue and how guys just don't understand they need to follow their roles, and like subtweeting Tobias Harris here, but it really, so far at least, seems the first 2 games, every single player understands their role perfectly. And that goes down to Shake Milton too. I think Shake Milton, there was a lot of we expected him to be a lot better than he turned out to be. I think we can safely say that. There was some hype around him, especially after that 39-point game against the Clippers and Doc Rivers. But now the fact that I think that Shake Milton has completely accepted that 7th, 8th man role, like that just makes our team so much better. Niang knows his role. He knows exactly what he is there to do. And I don't think it's a coincidence that this all has happened after we got James Harden. Like, I really believe that getting James Harden solidified everybody's role on this team. Like, now we're like, okay, Harden is our point guard. Tyrese, go get buckets, dude.
Yeah.
Tobias, stand there and shoot the goddamn basketball. Be quick about it. Whatever you're doing, be quick. Joel, just do whatever you want to do because you have the keys to the city. And, everyone else, it follows through. And it really, I think it means a lot, too, seeing the energy that Embiid is putting out, like the amount of effort that he puts on both ends. I really believe that the role players and the guys who aren't getting as much playing time or aren't getting as much tick and opportunity as Embiid sees that coming from their best goddamn player, and it makes them want to be better. Like, I love Patrick Beverley, but when Patrick Beverley is throwing 110% out on the court, it's laughable at times because he's just not good enough. He's just not good enough. Like, yeah, that's how he survives in the league. I understand that. That's his bread and butter. But like, when you were 100% max energy guy who wants to win more than anything, happens to be the best player on your team, like that is when it becomes special, And I really don't think Harden has ever been that guy. He wasn't that guy in Houston. He wasn't that guy in Brooklyn, but he doesn't have to be that guy in Philadelphia because Embiid is just, he wants to win so bad. And it's like, I just love it, dude. I love it. Like, he embodies Philadelphia perfectly. He will forever be an icon here, regardless of whatever happens in his career. It could end right now, tonight. He could retire in his post-game interview, and it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter, man. Like, he is just that special.
He wants a championship so bad, and he hates Toronto. He got shut down by Toronto.
Nick Nurse. He hates Nick Nurse.
Nick Nurse's strategy worked well a couple of years ago when they had the right defenders that could play that type of defense. They had Marc Gasol. Correct me if I'm wrong. They had who's a big, oh man, I can't think of his name. I had his name on the tip of my tongue. Serge Ibaka, yes. Was he on that team?
Yeah.
Marc Gasol, Serge Ibaka. Yeah, they had big physical players. I mean, Marc Gasol 7'1". Like, they had players that this worked with. And the Celtics, before Robert Williams went down, had the same, when they shut him down the last time we played him, had the same thing. Like, you have to have guys that are big enough and strong enough to be able to do this. You can't double team Joel Embiid with Precious Achua and Pascal Siakam and Chris Boucher, who's 7'7", but he weighs 180 pounds. Like, me and him are the same weight. Like, what can he actually do again? So you're double and triple teaming him with guys that just don't stand a chance. It doesn't matter how many of them you bring, 3, 4, put the whole team on him. He's scoring.
You see the rebounds, dude. Like Embiid, like when he just bricked the left-handed layup off the front of the glass, he had 3 Raptors on him. He just grabbed it with one hand and then went right back. Dude, he's so much bigger and better and stronger and faster and just better looking than every dude on the goddamn Raptors. It doesn't matter anymore, DJ. It doesn't matter. He's so much better than them. And like, he just, like you said, like, dude, how many times do we have to say it? He hates the Raptors. He wants to beat this team right now. He doesn't want to wait 6-7 games. He wants to just absolutely destroy them, foot on their neck. And you know what? I'll give credit to Doc Rivers. He's not putting in 5 bench rotations. I haven't seen it yet. And we've been up big in both games. So it doesn't give me any reason to believe he would do it later on when it becomes more important, because, like, dude, if he's going to put in a 5 bench rotation at any point, it would have been these first 2 games. I mean, that's why we lost to the Hawks in that series. We blew 3 20-point leads. And I think maybe, knock on wood here, I think maybe Doc has learned a lesson. I think maybe he learned something. He sees Paul Reed, he played well. He sees the Sixers are desperate to win a game, because in the playoffs, the only game that matters is the game that you're playing. And you can't start thinking ahead of the series, because that's when you're going to lose momentum, and that's when you blow 3-1 leads, and nobody knows how to blow a 3-1 lead like Doc Rivers.
Yeah, in that Atlanta Hawks series, I mean, I think Doc was not trying to really give him credit, but partially at mercy of the roster, because, you know, with Ben playing the way that he played in the half court, especially in the playoffs, and I mean, Doc should have saw it coming. We all saw it coming. We knew what was going to happen. We knew what happened in the playoffs when this dude has the ball in his hands. The defense stands 20 feet away. You can't run your half court offense. We watched it for years. Doc came here, clearly watched absolutely zero tape on the situation, and tried to do the same thing that Brett tried to do before he learned his lesson. So we had to repeat the same process. But I think against Atlanta last year, he was trying to figure out who the other ball handler would be on the spot. Like, oh, shit, this guy's not getting the job done. I need a ball handler. And then he's like, is it Maxey? Is it Shake? And then game 7, he's like, it's George Hill today. I don't know. Like, it just made no sense. But I think over time it has now become solidified, and he has 2 of them now. He has James Harden and Tyrese Maxey, who can both draw the defense to the 3-point line in the half court. And I agree also that just adding James Harden lets Maxey be more of himself, which is just a bucket getter. Just here's the ball, go get a bucket. And he doesn't even have to do it in ISO situations, because James Harden's just drawing attention and kicking it to him. And then he can just be flying downhill right to the rim. And it's been a perfect situation for him since Harden came here. There was a couple games during the end of the season where he disappeared a little bit, but right now he's right back to where he was in those first couple of James Harden games. So, man, it's a lethal combination, you know, because if you're not getting a lot of offensive production scoring wise out of Harden, but you're getting 20, 25, 30 from Maxey, I mean, it's just going to be too hard to stop, especially the Toronto Raptors. Like, it's just going to be too hard to stop. I missed Philly Mike, thank you for the super chat. He said the Raptors just played a T-Rex. I agree with that. They don't know what to do with him, man. You ever see what the hell's the movie called? The dinosaur movie, man. They can't stop the T-Rex. Jurassic Park, man. There's like 17 Raptors trying to take him down. They can't take him down. That's exactly what that is. Somebody should make a meme of that. That sounds like an A2D radio meme to me. Bunch of Raptors trying to take down a T-Rex. Crusite says Toronto Maxey owned the Raps. Sixers in 5. I think it's realistic, man. And if they do sweep them, man, oh my goodness, the trolling of Raptors fans is just going to be unbelievable. You know, it sucks for Raptors fans, man. The reason they're all over everyone's YouTube channel so hard is because they don't have anything to do in Canada. They're not allowed to do anything. I don't even think they're allowed to go outside yet. So, you know, so now they can't even watch YouTube because their team's losing. What are they going to do? I don't know. Andy Bull Kicks, thanks for the support. Says Sixers in 5. Raptors can't stop us. I completely agree. And Aaron Cabbage, of course, run it back MVP. When Danny dunked that ball, I honestly had to do a double take. I was shocked. My buddy texted me like 2 minutes later and was like, this feels different. Also, Paul Reed Victory Tour is in full effect. Do you think Doc Rivers really learned a lesson and looked in a mirror and said, I'm going to call this game differently, or I'm going to call these games differently? Or do you think like he's pressured kind of by upper management? Like, listen, Doc, the clear option here is Paul Reed at backup center. You've refused to do it. And it like, here's the numbers. Did some guy in a suit come into a conference room and open up a big folder and put it on like a projector? Doc, here's the numbers. When you play 37-year-old Paul Millsap and 39-year-old DeAndre Jordan, however old they are, and here's Paul Reed's plus minus against, and his rebounds per minute. Like, do you think he was pressured?
You know what?
Because it doesn't make sense that he randomly just decided to do the right thing. I don't
probably, yeah. But at the end of the day, though, DJ, like all of that can be true, but it still comes down to him doing it or not, And like, I want the guy gone regardless of how we finish. We can win every game this playoffs, go 16-0, win a championship, and I still want him fired. Like, so I don't like the guy by any means. I think he's an arrogant asshole, but like. He still did it. He still pulled the trigger. Like, he still hasn't played DeAndre Jordan yet. And like, I just think the slightest bit of credit can be owed to him, whether it's not even him doing it. Like, he is the head coach and he does make the substitutions at the time. I wouldn't be surprised if it's honestly Sam Cassell being like, dude, what are you doing? Because the more and more I see like the game, I'm watching Sam Cassell be the actual guy to talk to players. And I know assistant coaches usually tend to be a little bit more player friendly, but like, I really believe Sam Cassell is gaining traction in this coaching staff, and I wouldn't be surprised if Morey was like, dude, if Daryl Morey was like, Doc, I gave you your guy freaking blows. Play Paul Reed. Play Paul Reed, please, or it's your job. Paul Reed or your job. And so, I just think that whether or not he's been pressured or not, like I will give him the credit for doing so. Like, DeAndre Jordan hasn't played yet. It's probably why we're doing so well. So, like, you know what? I hate the guy. I want him to never come back to Philadelphia again, but I'll give it to him.
It's just funny how wrong he is.
Literally all the time. But it's not even how like wrong he is. It's how blatantly idiotic he is when he's explaining his wrongness. Like, he really just doesn't get it.
Yeah. And then he does what everyone was telling him to do, and we're 2-0 in the first round of the playoffs. I mean,
dude, it just imagine how good the Sixers would have been if Paul Reed was able to actually get playing time. Like, this is him right off of Delaware. Like, he's basically just playing from the G League to the NBA playoffs. Like, I mean, it's just so impressive. Paul Reed's been awesome, but he's also exactly what the Sixers need. Like, we've talked about it for 2 years now about how we just don't have that energy guy. Like, we don't have a Pat Bev. We don't have like a guy who's going to just be energy. Like, he's not really skilled. He's not like great at basketball, but he just wants to freaking win. And it's contagious. It's so contagious.
Kai came in here and he said something about free throws. Then he said, James Harden and Joel Embiid are out of shape, and I blocked him for 5 minutes. Then he cried about getting blocked for 5 minutes, and he comes back and he says, the game was rigged. So now you're blocked for 5 minutes again. You're wondering why I'm blocking you because you're just in here saying nonsense. The game was rigged. Again, Greg. Before you were in here, I gave the chat two options. Option number one: the NBA suddenly loves the 76ers after hating them during the tanking era and forcing a new GM on them, forcing Sam Hinkie out. They hated the Sixers because of the tanking era. Now they love the Sixers for no reason so much that they told the officials to give Joel Embiid and James Harden as many free throws as they need to win a game. Or option number two, we have two of the players in the NBA who are probably the hardest to stop without fouling, and you're fouling them. I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, you knew it was coming.
You have to foul the guy to put him at the free throw line. Where does this narrative come from that we're just getting free throws? And they keep pointing. A company called PicksWise. Okay, they got a verified Twitter. It's another garbage spin-off of sports betting. There's like 1,000 of them now, right? PicksWise tweets a picture of like Greg Monroe or something and says Joel Embiid without free throws. And I'm like, so you want people to sign up for your betting site, but you're just going to come out and admit that you don't know anything about the game? Like, come on, PicksWise.
DJ, what are you talking about, dude? You don't remember the step back threes double cover that Greg Monroe used to hit in the corner in a playoff game? Dude, what do you know? Greg Monroe was hitting threes in 2009 before it was cool. That's why he was an all-star in Detroit. Yeah, no. I mean, I love it. Like, whatever. Like, it's just such a bad argument.
You should show Joel Embiid dunking the ball with nobody near him and say Joel Embiid without the free throws.
Like, yeah. Joel Embiid without the free throws is hitting a wide open three-pointer. Like, I just, like, he's a 7'2", 3-level scorer that, like, the thing is, DJ, he only gets shit because he makes his free throws. Giannis shot like 20-something free throws last year in the finals, and he only made like 9 of them or something. Or no, Eastern Conference Finals. And people were like, oh, heck of Giannis. No one gave him shit. No one gave him anything. But when Embiid goes to the line, it goes in. Like, I don't understand. It's only because he makes his free throws that people get frustrated. But at the same time, it's like, everybody that watches the games, they know he's just dominating. There was the one foul that he got like sandwiched between Siakam and like Anunoby or Van Vliet or something, and like they may have called a flagrant on Siakam. I don't remember, but
they called it a common foul, but yeah, it looked like a tackle, but his arms were straight up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad they didn't call it a flagrant because nowadays flagrants are ticky tack. But I put that on Twitter and I was like, foul merchant. Embiid's a foul merchant. And there was a Raptors fan that responded and was like, you can clearly see that Embiid takes out Siakam's legs. Like, if you know anything about basketball, you know that Embiid initiated the contact. I'm like, dude, just stop it. Stop it right now. I don't understand how you could look at this play. Like, that is the delusionalness of other fan bases that want to hate so much that they watch it with their own eyes. And they're like, nah, it's an offensive foul. Embiid, offensive foul. I'm like, dude,
that's got to just be an 11-year-old kid. There's no way that's a grown person that knows anything about the game because Joel's falling flat on his back and kicking his legs out. I mean, I'm glad
I responded to him. If the way I responded to him, I'm hoping he wasn't an 11-year-old kid. But
well, his parents should monitor his internet use more. Yeah. That's what you should have replied, man. Your parents really need to monitor your internet use because this is getting out of hand. Look, man, there's the phone number. If any Raptors fans want to call in the show, there's still some in the chat. That anybody, if you have a level head and you want to have the conversation, that's fine. If you have an opinion about free throws or Joel being a foul merchant or the being a dirty player, which is ridiculous, so ridiculous that he's never been called that his entire career until this series. So how valid is that? Would he have not been called a dirty player at some other point? He stepped on Scotty Barnes' ankle, stepping through a double team, which in game one, which again, if you're bringing 2, 3, 4 guys every single time he has the ball, those kinds of things are going to happen. You're throwing bodies at him. These dudes are getting hurt because you're throwing bodies at him. They're catching shoulders and elbows, and Nick Nurse wants offensive foul calls. It's hilarious that he cried for 2 days and wants offensive foul calls, and then Joel Embiid gets 11 free throws in the first quarter. That backfired like hell, and he just made himself sound just weak and defeated. That's where I'm really at with it. Like, you have no shot to win this series, so you're crying, you're begging the officials to help you. I just think it's pathetic. Predator Kingdom is in the chat. Hey man, listen, your comments. Embiid is super dirty. I blocked you for 5 minutes every time you come in here because you say dumb things all the time. Listen, there's the phone number right there. It's on the screen. Okay, go ask your mom if you're allowed to use the phone this late, and call the show and have a conversation with us.
Yo, DJ.
What's up?
Guess who has the worst plus minus on the Nuggets right now?
Nikola Jokic.
Yeah, they just blew a 12-point lead. Now they're down by 3.
I'm here in the playoffs, man. That's wild. Oh, that reminds me. I have another. I have a pitch for Joel Embiid to be MVP once again. Is it official? When do they announce the awards?
Yeah.
Did it already happen?
No.
Either way. Joel Embiid in the end of the third quarter was guarding Fred VanVleet 1-on-1 at the perimeter for like what felt like 5 straight minutes, just left, right, left, right, left, right. Couldn't get around him, stuck him on the perimeter, a 7-foot, 280-pound center. And VanVleet had to make an emergency pass with the shot clock running down, and then turned around and yelled at the refs, and then got another technical, Nick Nurse or somebody got another technical foul. I don't know what they were yelling about. They're mad that this guy is this good at defense that he's guarding people on the perimeter. Listen, do you think, yes or no, from an unbiased point of view, advanced analytics aside, do you think Nikola Jokic could guard Fred VanVleet on the three-point line?
Of course not. They wouldn't allow him to. He wouldn't have the opportunity to. Have you ever seen Jokic try and guard a point guard on the perimeter for more than 3 seconds? It doesn't happen, dude. He's not a point of attack defender. He's the slowest dude on the court. He can't do it. I'm tired of it. I can't even understand how people can compare the two defensively, because Jokic is 1/10 of what Embiid can bring to the court. It's fine. Like, it's cool. Enjoy your MVP. You're going to be down 4-0 real quick. But, it's cool, man. And
then, man, Joel hits, like, I'm telling you, when I compare him to Hakeem Olajuwon, people get mad. But he's taking that to another level. He's taking that skill on the court to another level when he's hitting Hakeem Olajuwon-esque shimmy turnaround fadeaways from the three-point line. That's a post move. That's literally a post move that he did left turnaround fade from the corner. It's just ridiculous. I don't think you could probably find a video of an NBA center ever doing that. Maybe no. As a shot clock heave or something like that. But it's just the level of skill is unbelievable. And people are gonna.
He's the modern day Kobe. Like Embiid is the only player I would really compare him to. And I hate comparing players, especially of that magnitude of talent, but I would say he's like Kobe. He plays like Kobe. And it's because he watched Kobe when he came over to the U.S. Like, he's a lot like Olajuwon with the post moves, but outside of the post moves, he is so spot on to the way Kobe Bryant plays. If Kobe Bryant was 7'2" and 280 pounds.
He really is, man. There's that video that somebody made, that compilation that somebody made of.
I think it was Brock.
Was it of the videos of Kobe and Jordan?
Yeah.
And it's just, he has all the moves that they had. It's crazy, man. Like to a T. It's wild. We'll go to the Discord. My guy Danny Hilt's been hanging out in the Discord during the show. Danny Hilt wants to give us some thoughts. Danny Hilt in the Discord, man. What's up? I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. One thing I did want to bring up is, I know we like to have Harden be at all times, but I really do think instead of Harden, it has to be Maxey, because we saw the run that Toronto made late is when Harden and Tobias were the star guys on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, man. The run that they made, and I tweeted in all caps that signifies that I am angry. I tweeted in all caps, please get Tyrese Maxey involved. Way too much Harden ISO. And right after I tweeted that, we got the 3 plays from Maxey in a row, and I retweeted myself and said, thank you for this tweet. You're absolutely right. Maxey's the spark, man. And it's like, last year he should have been the main guy off the bench. That was obvious. He's too quick. He's hard to stop. And he's that perfect player when you need something to happen. When the offense goes stale, he's one of the only guys on this roster that can just knife through a defense and make something happen.
Yeah, he's just too quick for anybody to guard one-on-one, so they have to bring help at the bottom because he'll beat his man off the dribble. And then you saw it today. He had more assists than Harden today. He almost had a triple-double today.
He did, man. How many assists did he have, Maxey?
He had 8 assists and 9 rebounds.
Yeah.
Wow. 23, 8, and 9. I didn't even realize that.
Mm-hmm.
23, 8, and 9, and a plus 22. Tyrese Maxey, man. And again, on only 11 field goal attempts,
What was his Raptor?
What was his Vorp? Yeah. You got anything else for me, Danny?
I was just going to say, Paul Reed is probably one of the most important players in the Sixers roster, and he should keep playing even after the Raptors series.
Yeah, that's something that makes me nervous. That is something that makes me nervous because Doc Rivers said, when he was educating everybody, and he said it very slowly so that we all understand. I'm going to say this very slow for all of the stupid people in the room that are not as smart as me, Doc Rivers. I'm going to say it very slow. We play Paul Reed against small teams. We play DeAndre against big teams. So I do have a fear that as soon as we play a team with a big, which is going to be the Miami Heat, which is going to be Bam Adebayo, or whoever their backup center is that a big? Does that qualify as a big for Doc Rivers? Unless I'm assuming he's matching up minutes, right? I'm assuming like praying to God or Allah and anybody else that you guys worship. I'm praying to everybody that Doc Rivers does not put DeAndre Jordan on the floor against Bam Adebayo when we play the Miami Heat. But, I don't know. I have a fear that, I highlighted a comment earlier. It said, don't worry, we're going to have plenty of time to slander Doc Rivers. So, he might still do it.
Yeah. And the last thing is if you guys find time in the stream to do it, you probably should watch some of the press conferences because apparently Danny Green said something really funny. Big tough guy. I'm
actually going to save that. I'm going to make a video tomorrow. Probably I'll react to all the press conferences. I've been wanting to do that. One of those videos where I react to all the press conferences. That'll be fun.
Yeah. Apparently they said Danny Green press conference was acting like LeBron. So something funny must have happened.
Thanks for calling in, Danny. I appreciate you.
Hey, no problem. Have a good
night. Danny Green acting like LeBron. Oh my goodness, man.
Hear me out.
What's up?
Hear me out. If we win, is there an echo?
No.
Oh, you're good. If we win in 4, DeAndre Jordan doesn't touch the court in the playoffs.
Oof. That would see my fear is just that I've seen Doc do a lot of things that didn't make sense out of his sheer stubbornness. I think he doesn't want to be wrong so bad. I would not be shocked if he said, see, it worked because we played him against a small team, like I said, because I'm a genius, and now I'm going to play DeAndre Jordan against a big team. I wouldn't be shocked, but I hope so. I
just don't think we play a big team, though. Like next round at the Hawks, I guess, with Capella, but if Capella's on the court and Embiid's not, he's already not doing his job, right? And like Adebayo is like 6'10", tops. There's no way he's taller than 6'10". I just unless it's Dwayne Dedmon, and if he's getting minutes, then we're up by 40 or they're up by 40. So it's like
he was in the game last night. He was in the Heat game last night.
Yeah, and they won by like 30 points.
That's true. I think I tuned in when the game was already over. And he was in.
I mean, I just don't see the matchups favoring Jordan at all. Like I could see him just not playing. Dude, I would blow my brains out if he played.
Maybe Doc's saving it for Toronto because he didn't want to do it in Philly because he knew the arena would go nuts and start throwing things on the court or something.
Dude, imagine if that happens.
Oh my God, that would be fun. Kevin Wilson, thanks for the support. Excellent win. We played our best tonight when we avoided ISO ball and pushed the pace. Niang is unplayable this series. No Niang equals game over in the third quarter. Niang, he made some shots, but yeah, he's one of those guys, man. Like this Toronto Raptors team is going to expose certain players' lack of athleticism, especially when he's just thrown in there. There's not really a system going on. It's just, okay, here's the bench for 5 minutes. Go figure it out. And you got Niang with the ball at the end of the shot clock trying to do things against athletic players. It looks awkward and funny a lot of the times. He made a floater in this game on the baseline at the end of a shot clock. I swear his feet didn't come off the ground. It was like the slowest, most dopic. Like it looked like he was falling over and just threw it up and it went in, man.
I saw the same floater at the outside court that I play at last week. I was like, how did that get over me? I'm 5'8" and I should have blocked it. Yeah, I don't care. Niang, okay, like we expected Niang to struggle in this series because of his lack of athleticism and the heavy wing depth that Toronto has, but I'm not worried about Niang. Like I'm not going to take his minutes away. Like I'm not going to not play him. He has deserved the right to play in the playoffs from how great he's been this season. Like I mean, he's our best shooter off the bench. There's no debating that, I think. But that dude definitely eats pancakes for dinner. That's a
Niang eats pancakes for dinner. I mean, even Doc made a joke one time about how much he drinks, and he was like, Niang's going to need some extra beers tonight to deal with this game.
Have you seen his Instagram?
Yeah.
Dude, well, every weekend.
I have two friends that went to the Sixers game, and I was out looking at my Instagram, looking at their Instagram story or Snapchat story, and the dude's taking shots with a guy at a bar, and I'm like, wait a minute, is that George Niang? And I call him. I'm like, bro, wait a minute, are you taking shots with George Niang? He's like, yeah, we came in the bar and he was just sitting at the bar and like nobody knew who he was. Like, because, unless it's Sixers fans, like really like random people in a nightclub don't know who the hell George Niang is. So he's just sitting at a bar like a normal person and they walk up to him and take shots with him. So yeah.
That's too good, dude. That's too good.
He definitely lives off of just being a role player, and he really doesn't give much of a shit to be anything other than that. So he's like, I'm just going to live it up, party, show up to the game, do my thing.
Dude, he's having the best year of his career. Keep it going. Whatever you're doing, dude. Keep doing it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Whatever you're doing, man. It could be the lack. It could be our lack of depth in general, but
yeah, I mean, we give him a role that's too big for him to begin with. But dude, he's honestly been really consistently great this year. Like he's really, really been good. He's won us some games. Like that game against the Bucks, right before we got Harden, we won that because Niang had like 20-something points and he guarded Giannis in the fourth. Like we're not going to do that come playoff time, but those wins matter. If we lose that game, we're probably not. I mean, we're probably actually still the 4 seed, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
A lot of everything he's done is a reason why we're here too. He's been really, really great this year.
Yeah, he's a great catch and shoot guy, man. Like he really is. He lets it fly. He has a quick trigger. Not afraid to shoot it by any means. Yeah, he's been great in his role. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Ray Sam in the Discord. Ray Sam.
Yeah, he's
a
great catch and shoot guy. He lets it fly. He's a quick trigger.
Ray Sam.
Not afraid to shoot.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, can you turn your volume off in the background?
Yeah, my fault.
Oh, you're good, man. What's up?
What's going on? Hold on. I'm trying to hit the home button. Hold on.
It's all good.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Sorry.
man. What's up?
What's up, man? It was a good game tonight, man. I swear to God, it's like Tyrese Maxey has become that star that we all knew he was going to be, man. But, I'm calling in just because I'm going off of what your man said about Doc Rivers and him not wanting to play Paul Reed. It's like I think somebody said this the other day, like we bullied him into playing Paul Reed. Like he said that shit, and then it was like the next day he was like, well, either I'm gonna lose my job or I'm gonna have to play this guy. And it's clear that Paul Reed should have been the backup center from the beginning of the season. The dude won the G League MVP the year before. That should tell you stuff from right there. Like the dude's gonna have a good track record with the Sixers. I feel like the Paul Reed victory tour isn't over. And I feel like he should play against the Heat. They're not that big. Bam Adebayo was 6'9", 6'10". Paul Reed's was 6'8", 6'9". So
he should.
It's more about matchups than it is playing DeAndre Jordan or playing Paul Millsap, because I don't see neither of them playing in the playoffs at all. I just see them being this veteran presence on the bench, hyping the young players up when they come in the game. If we can keep playing how we playing, we will see DeAndre Jordan at the end of the game when we're beating them by 30 points or 40 points. But other than that, man, I just want to know, how do y'all feel about how James Harden has been playing the last 2 games? Do you feel like he's doing exactly what you expected from him?
If you told me these would be his stat lines before the trade, I would say, what the hell? We're trading. We had to make the trade. He definitely seems like he's lost a step of athleticism as far as like blowing by guys and getting off the ground.
Yeah, I don't see that happening because the league's getting younger and these motherfuckers are just not falling for that shit anymore. So
yeah, the ref stopped giving him that hook under the arm thing.
Man, I swear to God, that's one thing. He ain't getting them calls like he used to. I ain't gonna lie to you. He don't get half of the calls he got when he was over in Houston.
No, I think they collectively came together and they said, "Listen, just stop calling it." Like the guy has exactly. The guy has.
He never wins an argument. He never wins a call, bro.
No. I think, look, in his Houston days, he outsmarted the rule book. He said, I can do these little things that, like, technically it's a foul, but when you watch it, it's kind of cheap, and you look at it and you're like, yeah, it's a foul, but like, nah,
But
and then they just stop calling.
Your favorite team, you're gonna look at it in a different light.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Well, whatever, don't foul him. So yeah, like you said, they came as a collective, like.
Yeah, they were like, just stop calling it.
We got one dude on the team that takes 20 free throws again. We can't have another dude that take another 20 free throws. That's just going to have the league looking at us like, what the fuck? So it's always, we're going to give Embiid all the calls. James, you're just going to have to play your game differently. And I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
I'm cool with it, man.
It depends on Maxey. If Maxey
exactly. It depends on how Maxey plays. It seems like, go ahead.
No, I'm just like, if Maxey plays the way he's been playing right now, then like, yeah, we can afford Harden not being what we wanted and expected him to be. But at the same time, like, I think it's still in James Harden's ability to be what we traded for. But
Exactly.
he's got to be hurt,
I feel
man.
Like, it's going to come down to a game where he's going to have to be that James Harden that we traded for.
Yeah,
And
like all we need is one game.
He's going to have to step up. Like,
we just need one game.
Honestly, like, taking more shots and just being more aggressive. Quit trying to look for every foul. Just play your game, man. Play within yourself.
For sure. But he does that, you know what I mean?
Hey,
like
Sam, thank you for the call, man. Thank you for the call. We appreciate it.
He does that. I mean, am I thrilled with the way Harden's stats have looked the first 2 games? No, but at the same time, like, he's done just enough for us to be good with him. Like, he's been good. He hasn't been exceptional. He hasn't been a shot creator, but he accepts his role, or at least what he wants his role to be right now. And I just think maybe in the offseason he can get back to 100% and the Sixers can be even better next year. Like, that's the best thinking I have, because it wasn't that long ago when Harden was just a stud, you know?
Yeah, it wasn't that long.
No, and it has to be an injury, dude. Like, he's obviously battling something, because like he's not getting the calls, first of all, because he cries every time. And the ref is not going to give you a call when you're crying for it every time. It's the Tobias Harris effect. But it's also like he's not quick with his moves anymore. Like, he's the defenders are playing better defense and getting in front of him better because Harden's not as quick as he was. Like, he's not drawing fouls as well because he's not as quick as he used to be. So like, it's a little bit of everything. It's tough.
I think he's done a better job in the last 2 games of accepting the fact that he's not going to get a call. He still complains all the time, throws his arms up and cries. Like, at what point do you stop doing that? Because they're not going to give it to you, and yelling after the play doesn't help you. But I think he's done a better job of accepting that he's not going to get the call if he's not trying to put the ball in the hoop. You haven't seen him really just do this sweep through, throw the ball straight up in the air thing. He's like putting his shoulder into guys. He's like, there's drives where he takes 3 entire steps and they don't call it, and he plows into somebody and finishes. But he's using his body a lot more and moving guys out of the way and really trying to finish, because he knows I got to play through contact. They're just not giving me the call.
One thing I love.
I also said in this whole week that, outside of him getting back some athleticism, if he just starts to make threes, that's a million times better than what he looked toward the end of the season. So, he's been making threes in the playoffs. He was only 1 for 4 in this game, but the last game he had a good 3-point shooting game. If he can just give us, he had a catch and shoot one tonight off a Tobias Harris pass that was like, oh, there's that catch and shoot, and he missed it. But he'll have a 25, 30-point game just off of making threes. One of these games.
One thing I love that Harden brings to this team, I love it. It's one of my favorite things when he gets a rebound and immediately pushes. He is so good at that. He's so good at catching a long rebound and just turning around and going. Like, when Harden grabs the rebound, I just feel good. I feel good. Like, I just know this possession's going to be good. Like, that's what he is. He's so rock solid when he's not trying to do too much, that everybody else is so good. And dude, when Tyrese Maxey is doing what we wanted Harden to do, it allows Harden to just be the best point guard passer in the NBA. And that's just like an added bonus, dude. Like, Tyrese Maxey, I literally, everything I love about this team will come back to Tyrese, because Tyrese gives us everything we've always needed. But we did it through the draft. And he's 21 years old. It's just so remarkable what he's doing. It really is. He's just so good.
Yeah. We tried with a couple different players. We tried with Markelle Fultz. He forgot how to shoot. We finally drafted a young point guard that improved his shooting. Like, for the first time in what feels like at least 10 years on the Sixers team. We drafted a young player who improved his 3-point shooting. It seemed like it was something we just couldn't get from anybody. Every other team in the NBA seemed to get these dudes that come in, and in a year or two, they're shooting step back threes. We finally got one. It took us a long time. It took us, Joel Embiid's in the prime years of his career. It would have been nice to have a player like this, for 5 straight seasons along Joel Embiid, but better late than never. And we're going to have him for a long time. But yeah, it's just so nice to have a player like Tyrese Maxey.
It's also nice being on primetime TV, and so the whole world can see what we've been watching every single game from him. Like this isn't new. Like what he's doing tonight and his 38-point outburst game 1, like that's not new. You know,
No, it's not.
he's had a 39-point game in his rookie season. He did that 2 years ago or last year. I mean, he's just been so consistent this year. He gave us like 18 a night. He was the 3rd highest 3-point percentage in the NBA, dude. Like it's just he's been so good this year. I said it even after we had Harden that Tyrese Maxey has been our second best player consistently. Like there will be nights where Harden is better than him, and I'm sure Harden probably brings a little bit more to the team overall as a whole. But like Tyrese Maxey is our second best scorer. There is no question about it. It's never been Harden. Even during the first 2 games, Maxey was right next to him dropping 25, 26, 27. Like if you remember the honeymoon Harden games, against the Knicks and the Timberwolves when we were winning by like 40. Harden was giving us 28. Embiid was giving us 40, and Maxey had like 26. Like he was. I mean, right
really,
there.
look, like the way, like when I compare him to Allen Iverson, and people get mad at me, just like me comparing any new player to any old player, they get mad about it. But Tyrese Maxey specifically, Iverson was. I love the dude. He had the most heart I've ever seen in an NBA player. And that's why I love Tyrese Maxey so much. It's just reminding me so much of him, an undersized player that has the biggest heart on the court, and he's not allowing it. His mindset is not allowing anybody to stop him. He's saying, I can do anything I want to do. You can't stop me. And it's just playing bigger than his physical stature. And it just reminds me so much of AI. And Allen Iverson is one of the most inefficient shooters in the history of the NBA as far as the amount of shots that he took to get the points that he got. But it's because he was always on a team with nobody to pass the ball to. He had Aaron McKee and Eric Snow and Tyrone Hill. I mean, he never had anybody around him. So he had to shoot the ball 25, 30 times a game for them to even be in any game that they played. So the way that I look at it, Tyrese Maxey had 11 field goal attempts in his game and had 23 points. If he was on a bad team and he was given the reins and he shot the ball 25 to 30 times a game, he would do exactly what Allen Iverson did. I know that sounds crazy to some people, but it just makes sense to me mathematically. When they were talking about trading for Colin Sexton last year, I was like, I did the per 36. I just matched up their per 36. I'm like, look, Maxey has the same numbers as him per 36 because that dude's on a bad team shooting 30 shots a game.
Yeah.
I still don't think he's aggressive enough in certain situations, like to only have after the performance last night, obviously a good win tonight, but I just want the kid to go out there and it's your game, shoot the ball more than 11 times. It's your game.
Yeah. I don't really know where I want him shot wise usually. Like I would love for him to put up 15 a game probably, but like if you're going to give us 11 shots on 23 points and a team collective win, I'll take it every time. But like, just like my thing with him is like, he really just steps up, dude. Like, and I think it's because he plays the game with such kid-like fun that he doesn't feel pressured ever. Like he never feels the pressure. And if you look back at these Sixers teams, we've always crumbled under the pressure because we haven't had a guy that can just be able to be like, I got it. Like, let me get it. Like, it doesn't matter. Nothing matters. Like, let me just go play basketball. And Maxey really is that guy. Like, he just doesn't care. Like, it really, it's like he wants to win, of course, and he's a competitor, obviously, and his work ethic is supreme. But at the same time, like, he plays with such fun energy. Like, oh, I play basketball for a living. Like, that's what I see in his eyes when he's smiling. He's like, I'm a basketball player. But at the same time, like, it allows him to just not get in his head, and it allows him to just slow the game down and play at his pace. And that is why he's so freaking good in the playoffs and in big games and in moments where we need him. And it really, honestly, I think like you said, you put him on another team. I think not only does he score more, he shoots more and he gets more recognition, but I also believe that he would be recognized as one of the best clutch players in the NBA. And I think if the Sixers they're obviously going to face moments where they need a bucket in the last 2 minutes of a game, it's going to be Tyrese Maxey. And I hope and pray that Doc Rivers acknowledges that, and Embiid and Harden acknowledge that, and let him be the guy. Because I know he's 21 years old. He's never done it before. But, dude, if anybody has it in him, it's Tyrese Maxey.
Yeah, I completely agree, man. I can't get enough of him, man. I can't. Oh yeah. So let's go prediction. Everybody in the chat and Greg, give your prediction for how this series finishes. Is everybody feeling so confident that they think we're going to sweep the Toronto Raptors? In the chat, do you see the Sixers losing a game to this team? Because after watching these first two games, it is pretty easy to make the argument that they don't have a chance at winning any of these games because there's just too much star power on the floor for the Sixers. They can't stop Embiid. They haven't been able to slow down Maxey. They slowed down Embiid and everybody else stepped up. Tobias Harris is playing like a high level number 3 that you would want him to be. I just looking like right now there's too much for him, which is why I definitely don't see the Raptors winning the series. I would predict there's going to be at least an ugly one in Toronto that they get from us, maybe game 3, which is, when is that? I don't know, but
it's Wednesday, I believe.
Sixers in 5. People are saying Harris trade value is so high. Gentlemen sweep. They win game 4 and we close out at home. Okay. My heart says 4, but my head says 5. I'll give you that.
My heart says 3. My mind says 4.
It's sweeping season. Sixers in 5. I think the general consensus is 5 games. We just want to be safe. Somebody said to me, who said it? I don't know, something I was watching, something I was listening to. They said expectations are the thief of joy.
Woo! DJ.
I know, isn't that amazing? I know. God. Expectations are the thief of joy.
I'm going to put that on my wall.
That's why I go into every Eagles season now expecting them to be horrible because they can only impress me. They can only win 5 games and 6 games and 7 games and impress me. So,
dude, that's what I said in our first stream. I said, you know what? I've had high expectations every single playoffs for this team, and they've done nothing but let me down. I'm going to go into this series just thinking, if we win, I'll be happy, and just go one game at a time. If we win, I'll be happy. So far, pretty happy. Yes, it is a J. Cole jersey, Martian Lynch 33. I appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, I am pretty impressed. Like I was nervous towards the end of the season with the way that they looked against the Raptors the last 2 times that they played them. They just seemed so athletic and flying around, killing us on the glass. And these 2 games, the Sixers haven't looked like they looked, and the Raptors haven't looked the same way either on the other end. So we'll have to see what happens in Toronto, but the Raptors are not playing like I expected them to play against us so far in this series.
They're so banged up. They're so banged up right now. This is not the team that we were expecting to play in the beginning of the series, and it sucks. But I'm not going to be like, oh, I wish the players were healthy. I will win any series by any means necessary. I don't give a shit. It's the only way the Raptors won their championship was through injuries.
Yeah, Scotty Barnes is a good player, man. And it sucks. That sucks that he's out like that. They showed him with a walking boot on, so I would doubt that he's even playing in this series because if he hurt that ankle so bad that he's in a walking boot, I don't see it getting any better in a week or 2. Like an ankle injury that's bad takes a couple months, really. So unfortunately for them. But again, like people calling Embiid a dirty player for it. When you're just throwing bodies at him every single play, things are going to happen. People are going to get stepped on. They're going to get elbows and shoulders.
Also, I don't want to be like a dick here, but are we not going to talk about the Scotty Barnes like truck stick on Tyrese Maxey, and then he AIs over him like Ty Lue, and then Embiid pushes him off? Like, I hate to say karma's a B word, but dude, I mean, what's the dirty play there? Like Scotty Barnes clearly intentionally fouling Tyrese Maxey and then standing over him like they're not down by 20, or the accidental spin move on a person's ankle. I mean, it's so crazy. And also, like, are we not going to talk about like the litany of moments where Giannis has taken out people in the playoffs by accident? Like Giannis has accidentally hurt somebody for like a series or a season like 3 times. But we're going to be like, oh, it's an accident. And then Embiid does it once.
Yeah, at the end of the day, when you're that much bigger than the guys that are trying to guard you and they're just throwing bodies at you, like I said, you're going to get hit with knees, you're going to get stepped on, you're going to get elbows and shoulders, and people are going to get banged up. But yeah, that play that Scotty Barnes on Tyrese in game 1, Tyrese sets a screen. I don't know why he did it. I don't know what he was mad about, but he just plows into the screen and literally extends his shoulder and launches him onto the floor and then tries to step over him. I just don't see where he got that like violent outburst that he had. Joel shoves him off. But yeah, that came up on a thread on Twitter, and there was an argument made by a Raptors fan that he didn't have time to get around the screen. They actually said, what was he supposed to do, give him a hug? And I said, no, he was supposed to go around a screen like you're supposed to do in the NBA. You can't run through a screen. And the fact that I'm explaining this lets me know why I should not be on Twitter, because this is ridiculous. But, yeah, he just plowed right into him and launched him onto the floor. I mean,
like,
it's just...
the irony in that is, dude, the Raptors switch on every screen ever. The one time they don't switch, it's like, oh, what's he supposed to do? Oh, I don't know. Do what they've been doing for the last 3.5 years. Like, what do you mean, dude?
Daniel Hill, one that surprised me was Harden's defense. Yeah, I harped on that, man. Harden's been playing defense, man. Like, it's funny, actually. The crowd goes crazy when you get like clear as day blocked into the second row by James Harden. It's almost like a sarcastic troll cheer. With God E, my man, haven't seen you for a while, my man. What you up to? Thanks for the comment. Thank you for the support. Everyone talks crap about Sixers fans. When Raptors fans cheered when KD got injured, they're literally wishing injury on Embiid. They made videos wishing him injury. Sixers fans don't stoop that low. I agree. Yeah, I mean, Kevin Durant tore his Achilles, and they cheered. And there's videos to prove it. They cheered as he's limping off the court. They cheered. It's ridiculous. And, really, it's why when you make a YouTube video and there's 5,000 Raptors fans in the chat, like, they're like a cult of people. They are. They're a cult. I don't know what goes on up there in Canada. I don't know what goes on up there. There's some cult stuff going on because they are the most insane cult of toxic maniac fans I've ever witnessed on the internet. They're just insane. I've blocked so many of them on this YouTube channel because they just come in here saying just absolutely foul, ridiculous things. Yeah, I mean, what can you say about us? We didn't cheer. Scotty Barnes was hurt. We played the goodbye song because Fred VanVleet fouled out of the game, and they acted like we were cheering and laughing at the injury. No, that's not what was happening.
We were already up by 20. Without Scotty Barnes, with Scotty Barnes, with two Scotty Barnes, with Scotty Barnes and his brother. I don't care. We beat this team. Like, we're better than them. Like, it's just so simple, dude. You can be healthy and we're better than them. I don't understand, man. Like, the refs didn't lose you this series. The injuries didn't lose you this series. What lost you this series is you're just not as good. And that's okay. The best team should win. It's okay, guys.
Facts. We got a call from South Bend, Indiana. I think I know who this is. Hey, what's going on, man?
What's up, my man? Hey, I got to give it up to you on your show, man. Hey, love your show.
Thank you.
But the main, you know it. But the main thing I'm seeing about the Sixers, man, that has been remarkable to me is the defense. They are operation shut down. After that first quarter, they had 19 points in the second, 19 in the third, and then we had a lull, of course. That's what the Sixers do. But the defense is just, beautiful.
Yeah, the defense has been great. And a lot of players that I didn't see it coming from, like James Harden and Tobias Harris. And Danny Green even, looked like his defense has fallen off later in his career. There's players that didn't look so good defensively in the regular season that are stepping up like crazy in the playoffs so far.
Yeah. I love when you and Greg are on there because y'all basically the best two commentators that be on your show at one time. I got to give it up to y'all because y'all break it down so beautifully. I mean, of course, we're emotional. We're Sixer fans.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been waiting on this for I don't know how long. But when you break it down as far as you guys and your analysis, it's beautiful.
Appreciate that, man. I really appreciate that, man.
Yeah, man, y'all break it down smoothly, man. Y'all need to get some of these people off television, like Skip Bayless. I'm sorry, did I say that?
Well,
did I say that out loud? But anyway,
I say this a lot, man. The thing about it is that television is dying. Nobody watches TV. My mom right now I finally convinced her to cancel her cable and subscribe to YouTube TV and stream everything because that's the wave. Nobody's watching. It's going to get to the point where, like, look, I would bet that ESPN has more views on their YouTube clips than they do on like their TV shows. So this is the future. So I ain't going anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, you've been saying it, and I had to give you kudos on that too. But I'm gonna tell you, man, like I said, you in the forefront of it. You, my man, y'all both making it happen in Philly. Then it's basically like you say. Now they're trying to spin off and have these type of shows, so they see it too.
Yeah. Hey man, thank you for the call as always, my man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, take care.
All right, man.
My guy.
What a guy.
Also,
yeah, go ahead, Greg.
Shout out to Creator Mav, dude. Love that guy. One of my OG subs. He's from Canada, but he's a Sixers fan.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Hilarious. I love it.
Mr. 89 says the pot can't call the kettle black, Raptors fans. Exactly. Like, come on, man. We can show them any play they want to argue about. We can show them an equal or worse play that they've committed in just the 2 games of this series. And then, the cheering Kevin Durant injury, like, yeah, you can't call it out when you guys have done worse. So, if everybody hates Philly, we'll just show you, I really think all fan bases are similar. Like, there's shitheads in every town, there's shitheads in every city. There's gonna be a guy like, oh, people in Philly, like somebody got arrested for punching a police horse during the Super Bowl parade, and the guy gets arrested. There's dumbasses like that in every city that will just do stupid things. I mean, like, it's not just Philly. There's dumb people everywhere. So,
Yo, how drunk do you have to be to punch a horse?
He punched a horse, man.
What a terrible person. What a terrible person.
They should have let the horse, like, stomp him out, really. Like, don't punch a horse. They should have let the horse, like, turn around and kick the shit out of him. Like, don't punch
That's too funny, man. Poor horse just got put for no reason.
Oh, man.
Oh, yo, but all fan bases suck. I mean, Sixers have their trolls. The Raptors have their trolls.
Yeah.
Every fan base. The Nuggets, the Jazz, all the teams I don't like.
And there's always going to be some 12-year-old that tweets, like, wishing injury on somebody because he wants to get as many retweets as he can, and then he laughs.
Right,
so he can show all his friends in the cafeteria, like, whatever.
Right, with a profile picture of, like, a player, never them. It's never them.
I had someone trolling me yesterday, and his page was Gary Trent Jr. fan. And I was just
the only person to do that. I love Gary Trent, though. Gary Trent, I've read a lot of stories about him. He is a phenomenal person. A great guy.
I believe it. I was just like, wow, imagine making a Gary Trent Jr. fan page. That's just wild to me. That is wild.
I don't know, though, dude. Like, the Sixers are kind of the same. Like,
yeah, you're right. There's like George Niang stan and
Isaiah Joe stans. Like, it makes sense. At least Gary Trent's like making like $16 million a year. I think he deserves at least one Twitter fan page.
Daniel says Jokic is getting locked up by Draymond right now. Oh, that's epic. I mean, Draymond's a great defender, but yeah, the Jokic thing, man, it's funny because I don't like, if Joel doesn't get MVP, it doesn't change anything. Literally anything. I would like for his career to be over, him to be regarded as like, oh, he won 2 MVPs. It matters in that regard because it looks a certain way, but at the end of the day, like, it's media members voting on this, and advanced analytics are ruining. They're not ruining basketball, but advanced analytics are ruining awards in basketball because you're not looking at what's happening in the game. You're looking at, oh, he has the highest of all 6 of these advanced analytics out of anybody, so he's clearly better than everyone else. Like, no, that's not it. That's not it. Everything's so can be taken out of context or can be skewed. You could take 3 plays off in the second quarter and come up huge in the third and the fourth and literally win the game by yourself and have a lower whatever PER, advanced box plus minus, and all that stuff. So it's just, I wish the NBA would get back to, hey, let's watch the games and decide who is the better performing NBA player night in and night out based on what you're seeing in the game, not based on some advanced metric algebraic equation that somebody made.
Also, what's funny is all of those algebraic equations have shown how much better Embiid's been the first 2 games of the playoffs. Jokic has a minus 15 right now, plus minus, which is the worst for either team.
Right, but at the end of the day, like plus minus it's the amount of it's the amount of points your team scores versus the amount of points the other team scores when you're on the floor. So
exactly, it shows you how it doesn't make you a good player or not. Because I'm sure Jokic has not been the worst player on the court. I'm just saying that because analytics are a false story. It doesn't tell you the truth. And people are like,
annoying to me.
And then people are like, "Oh, you're going to use the eye test? Like that's your excuse? The eye test? What a cop out!" Like to you, it seems like that maybe because it's not like a concrete number, but like it's the eye test is the most important thing in the world because that is what you are actually watching.
Any one of those equations that has box plus minus inside the equation, I throw out the window. Any of them. True shooting percentage is one of the most skewed ones. Also, they're trying to take 3-pointers.
Defensive rating is literally the worst analytic I've ever seen. It is so skewed. It is so bad. It's so bad.
You can have a very efficient game and your team can shit the bed while you're on the floor, and you can have a -7. Or you can play a really bad game. 3 of your players on the floor could be having great games, and you could be a +12. Like it's a team stat. It doesn't make sense to me that we use that to evaluate a single player. Like one guy is lifting up 4 other players. Oh, look how good they are when he's on the floor. Like he makes all of those players better. That's what the assumption is when you look at that number, but that's not necessarily what happens.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, Sixers up 2-0. A sweep would be nice. I predict we have at least one blunder, hopefully not 2, but I predict we have a stinker in Toronto, at least one of the 2 games where, we probably just shoot a terrible percentage from 3, or we get turnover happy, or they just beat us on the boards and out hustle us certain plays. Like tonight, we got lackluster when we were up by 24, and they came back all the way down to the 11 points because we literally acted like the game was over when there was 8 minutes left. So that could have turned out a lot worse if Tyrese Maxey didn't start making plays in that span of just stale offense. So I would predict at least one game goes to Toronto, but I started at 6 games before this series. I have now been swayed to believe that the Sixers will win this in 5.
Welcome to my side, DJ.
And thank you to everyone that joined the chat. Hit the like button one more time. Still 400 people in here. If you have any more questions in the chat, you want to go ahead and ask some questions or anything like that. Greg, if you have any final thoughts.
I do. I've decided to change my MVP vote. Daniel has swayed me. I'm giving my MVP vote to Jay Crowder. He's the best player in the NBA, dude. His team wins the most when he's on the court. MVP.
Jay Crowder led the league in plus minus. Well, look, that's what I posted on Instagram, the rant that Nick Wright went on. And yeah, me using Nick Wright is me choosing Nick Wright when I agree with him, because I disagree with a lot of things that he said, but he said something I agree with, so I posted it. But it was right. He showed a whole bunch. He showed all of those advanced analytics, and every single one he said, look, this stat showed that Mo Bamba is better than Devin Booker. Like, you could find a player in that advanced stat category that it just doesn't, it's not entirely reliable. That's the point he was making with that, and that's why I posted it on Instagram. But yeah, I mean, Jay Crowder led the league in plus minus. Exactly. Because that's why it's skewed too. Jay Crowder comes in with the bench, and he's a good bench player. And, that if his bench is stronger than the other team's bench, yeah, he probably has a high plus minus. Doesn't matter.
All
stupid.
NBA Jay Crowder, baby.
All NBA, man. Jared Allen over Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Completely agree.
I don't know. What was Kareem's plus minus in VORP?
Trevor, thank you for the question, man. Good question. Who is the MVP of the series so far? I have to go with, most valuable player, it still has to be Joel Embiid for me. Even in game 1, he got held to 19 points because they were throwing everybody on the floor at him. And I watched some of Romp's breakdown. I wanted to watch both of them. I mean, he did a Maxey breakdown, then he did a team breakdown, but they just left so many shooters wide open because they were automatically bringing everybody to Embiid. So this game, they said, hey, let's not automatically triple team Embiid. Let's try to maybe rotate and stay on the perimeter and cover guys. And guess what happens when you don't automatically triple team Embiid? He drops 31 and 11 on 16 shot attempts. I mean, Joel's unstoppable, and he's the most valuable player.
I'm going to say Tyrese. Why not? I want to be different. Can't really say much more about Embiid.
You can make an argument, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, statistically, it's been Tyrese, but obviously gravity and just being a player on both ends of the court, it's been Embiid, obviously. But Tyrese Maxey, man, has been so phenomenal that I'll give it to Tyrese. Why not? What I want is an MVP, like co-finals MVP for Maxey and Embiid, just because I want that for both of them, but I don't think we'll ever win 2. So just like give it to both of them. And then we bring Mike Muscala game 1 next year to ring the bell. And then the crowd goes wild.
Yeah, you can make the argument for Maxey because in both games, game 1, Embiid was held to 19 points. You need a player to step up, and he drops 38 and just was going off in the third quarter in some of the biggest parts of the game. And even in this game, he was quiet in the first quarter, started getting it going in the second, and then in the third, he went off a little bit, and then in the fourth, when they made that run and got it down to 11, he saved us again. So really, like, you can make an argument that in the biggest moments when you really needed someone to get a bucket, Tyrese Maxey stepped up in both games so far. So I agree.
Yeah. Nuggets down 19, bro. Holy smokes.
Another good question there. Matt Koss, man, do you want Maxey as a closer? Look, I always still think the best option is to try to get Embiid under the rim. I know towards the end of the season, we had some close games where we inbounded the ball to Embiid 30 feet from the basket because Doc didn't draw up a play and what these first 2 playoff games looked like, I'm still convinced that Doc just didn't care about the end of the regular season and was like, whatever, let's stay healthy and go to the playoffs. Who cares? Everybody's going to cry about the regular season, me included. But game 1 and game 2, right off the jump, at Joel Embiid's under the rim every single play, just bullying people. As we predicted, he was going to be a different level of physical. So it depends on the team. But in this series, if you have like a 5-second thing and you're down by 1, the best play is to get Joel Embiid the ball in the paint if you can. Inbound it to Harden. Harden's the best player on this team at entry passes. I mean, he puts it right on the money every single time. He even sets up, Tobias Harris gets a lot of easy buckets from just James in entry pass, but I would still go with Joel Embiid against the Raptors as the closer if you can get him on the block because they can't stop him, and he'll probably get a foul call. Or if they're swallowing the whistle at the with the clock running down, he'll just run over everybody and score. But I would love to see Tyrese Maxey be a closer though in a certain situation where he's bringing the ball up. There was a game without Embiid, right? It was against Memphis in the regular season where he just took over the fourth quarter and like 3 possessions in a row, he was going back and forth with Ja Morant. That was one of my favorite games. He single-handedly won that game. He led the team in the fourth quarter against Ja Morant, MVP level player. So yeah,
Am I crazy for saying Tyrese Maxey again? I would 100% have him as the closer. Like, my thing with Maxey is, like, you never see him make the wrong decision. Doesn't mean he's taking the shot. Like, he'll maybe make the pass out, but, like, he's never making the wrong decision. He never has a bad shot. He's going to make the right choice. And that just might mean an Embiid, like, dump off for a dunk to win the game.
I'm taking a picture of this comment. Oh, man. Top tier comment right there.
Truly.
Jokic just Triceratops is elite right now. I think Tyrese Maxey has Damian Lillard potential. Seriously, like the killer instinct that I see right now and making big shots in big moments at 21 years old. When the kid's 24, 25, he's going to be leading and hopefully the Sixers in the playoffs, deep into the playoffs. Clock running down, him dribbling the ball up the floor. Everyone knows who's shooting the ball. He's going to be that level of player. I really think.
Yeah, I agree. I also want to say one of my last thoughts. Jalen Brunson had 41 tonight.
Jalen Brunson's nice. I like him.
They just beat the Jazz without Luka Doncic.
They were a big underdog. I picked them in a parlay. Hold on.
Yeah. So Donovan Mitchell getting traded? Yo, let's match up Rudy Gobert and Embiid so I can have my least favorite player of all time and my father playing on the same team.
I'm checking my bets right now. I'm not telling you guys what betting app it is because they didn't sponsor it yet.
That's right. Hell yeah, DJ, stand up. We do nothing over here for free.
Hey, look. I got the Sixers, the Mavericks. What's the score of the Nuggets game?
They're down 17.
Why did I take the Nuggets?
You took the Nuggets, dude. Never take the Nuggets. I'm
I
taking
know, but
Nuggets to go 0-82 next
I thought
year.
like they're not going to get swept. Maybe Golden State has a cold shooting night. It was a plus 250. I'm like, maybe they get one in this series. Maybe they steal game 2. Damn it. I took the Nuggets.
Yeah, it's not looking good. They're down 22 points.
All right. Well, anyway, 390 still in the chat. Please hit the like button. Appreciate that. Thanks for coming through. Thanks for joining the Discord. Thanks for calling the phones. Thanks for hanging out in the chat. My man, Greg, will you be back after game 3?
If it's Wednesday, I'm here.
All right, man. I'll talk to you and I'll see what's up.
Yeah.
Collab if we can. Thank you, everybody. Run it back, Philly. No frauds, no fanboys, no intros. Peace.